Hi, I'm Olivia Dreyer, the director of Karuna Center for Peacebuilding, a nonprofit in Amherst, Massachusetts that was founded in 1994 by psychologist and peace activist Paula Green. Its mission is to address the wounds of war and promote reconciliation. Together with local partners, we engage former enemy groups in dialogue and joint activities that help them rebuild trust and rediscover their common humanity. To date, we have worked in some 30 war-torn countries. While the need for this work seems to be growing, we are heartened by the response and awed by the courage of local peacebuilders. Most of our programs are overseas, but we are increasingly leading dialogues here in the U.S. to help bridge our own growing divides. This series, Karuna in the World, aims to share insights into the work we do around the globe.
Welcome to Karuna in the World. It's where we tell stories coming out of the work of the Karuna Center for Peacebuilding, which is based in Amherst, Massachusetts. I'm Jenny Morrison. I'm the program manager at Karuna Center, and I'm thrilled to welcome my colleague Rosette Sepison.
Thank you.
She's our project manager from Rwanda and working on a number of things together that we'll be talking about today. So I'm really excited that we're telling these stories because although it comes from a somber background, there's some really hopeful things happening in Rwanda these days that we'll talk about. So not everyone has Rwanda fresh in their minds, so just as a reminder, Rwanda is an East African country with a really rich history, and among that was a really painful period in 1994, where for 100 days the government sponsored a mass killing, and it mobilized about 200,000 men and women who were neighbors, turned on family members, and did massive killing of, we think, at least 800,000 people and potentially more. There were hundreds of thousands of rapes. Many children were left orphaned. And this was thought to be driven by an ethnic difference. At the time, the people that were mobilized were called Hutus, although the government policy is not to use tribal names anymore. But they really targeted a minority group called the Tutsis. And that happened whether people were married. It happened neighbor on neighbor, a really brutal sense of betrayal that people emerged with, as well as devastation in the environment and in their families. So out of that background, this was 1994, as we said, and I'm curious now, Rosette, if you would kind of give us a sense of what's day-to-day life like in Rwanda now?
Thank you, Jeannie. I think to know about what is, like, how is Rwanda now, it is good to know about what happened in Rwanda. As you put it, it is horrible. And 1994 was, it really, Rwanda was submerged in bloodbath and has taken more than 1 million of Tutsis in only 100 days. So after that, you understand that the life was very difficult, people to be together. We had perpetrators, we have victims of genocide, we had people returning from countries where they flew in 1959, 1973, and the others that flew with their families in neighbors countries like Congo, Tanzania, Kenya, and Burundi. So the government task was to put all these people together, and they're from different backgrounds, and it was not an easy task. So now we are in the communities. Rwanda really did a very good progress in unity and reconciliation. Even like people being able to be together and talk. Even in Rwanda, what is very interesting is they talk Kinyarwanda as a language all over the country. So, but that time during genocide, those are the people who killed each other. So the Hutus in that time, in Interahamwe, the perpetrators killed the Tutsis. Of course, not all the Hutus. These were in Interahamwe, the militias that were coming from the Hutus clans. That they were used ethnic groups. They used to be in that time. So so to unite for these people to be together was a very difficult task, as I put it. But what I'm seeing now, it is really very interesting to see Rwanda, how it is now. It is amazing to see people can talk, can, see the value of peace. They can, decide to move together, work together. And what the government did after genocide, of course, where the bodies were lying down, every street, a million of people, and the roads and everywhere, the mass graves. So the first thing was, to bury those bodies in dignity of a human being. And one of the things government is doing is in every April, we have a mourning period. So this is something that also reminds people the value of life, what happened, in 1994, which was prepared, of course. There was not something that came just one day. And people just see how bad it was and take some decisions to, to change, to never again, which is real. So another thing that's, I'm seeing personally in Rwanda that is very interesting as a good initiative is about education for children. Before, because of divisions, not every child was, allowed to go to school. They were mostly the Hutus. But now, what the government did, they removed ethnic groups in identity. This is something I see as, very positive. And it is really education for all, and it is helping in unity and reconciliation for the country. Because from the early age, every child knows that is equal to another, so there is no, divisions from that age. So another thing I saw personally that I really appreciate after genocide, that brings people together is about Umuganda. Umuganda is a community work whereby every Saturday of, every end, the last Saturday of the month, where Rwandans, or wherever they are, from 8 a.m. to 11, it is a community work where we go together, we decide, if it is building like a house for a needy person, or doing some cleanings, the road, or, this is bring people together, and it is the whole country. This is some of the initiatives that are being done, and we really appreciate. There is also Mutuelle de Santé. Mutuelle de Santé is health insurance, which is compulsory for the whole country, and everybody has access. It is actually now at 98%, I'm not wrong. It also helps people to understand that they own the country. This is their country. So this is their country, they have to work hard for it, and they see the beauty of living. Yeah, so these are some of the initiatives I see that after genocide that were done, and I really appreciate that.
Sure. So there's a lot of development in a lot of areas to really support people.
Yes.
And it sounds like people are starting to feel like they are together.
Yes, please. Yeah, they are. They are feeling that really they are together, and they are starting to know that this is what were we doing. Why could we fight? Why can kill each other? They're starting to be aware of what was done was very horrible. Yeah.
So it's still on people's minds. It's not like it's been 20 years, they've moved past it.
No, because of, as I said, that genocide was a terrible thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And it's different from other genocide. When you read books and other documentations, it is Rwandan genocide was, the genocide perpetrated against Tutsi was really very different. Mm. The same people, killed each other, and it was in a very shortest time to kill, 1 million of people within 100 days. Mm-hmm. So people's minds, people's lives, people's belongings were destroyed. Mm-hmm. So it is not something that can, finish in 1 day or in 20 years. Actually, what we are seeing on the ground now, this is the time people are really feeling it. I see, like, when we are commemorating genocide, it is normally 100 days from April to July, but we have the 1 week mourning period, and after that week, the activities for commemorations, they just continue. They do not stop until July. But when I see, like, youth, the questions they ask, youth, I mean, like, the young people who were born after genocide, or who were babies, 5, 3, 2 years, 3, 5, the questions they are asking, if you see, like, mothers, who were raped, the way now, after 23 years, the way they are feeling, the way they are expressing themselves, maybe they have never talked about it. Maybe they, because they lived with it at, this longer, and this time it is really live. It is something that is coming up, and we can see that it is still it is fresh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For some people, they can't, we don't want everybody to experience, of course, so we can't wish to experience, but it is something that not everyone can understand it. Because some people think that after 23 years, it is gone. So is someone still thinking about that? Mm. But we have families that really, you can't find any member of that family that was left or survived. Mm. We have, some where you can find 5, 6 to 10 members. There is no survivor in the whole family. And, the family, if I may say that the large family of 50, 100 people, you'll find like 2 survived. Mm. So it's not something that you can forget. You cannot forget that you had parents, and the way they were killed. It was not a normal death, You can't forget that you had children and you're 5, 4, because in our countries used to have many children. Mm. You can't, if your parents, your mother or father, you can't forget in 23 years that you had children and you were alone. You had brothers and sisters and you are alone. Mm. This is a personal experience. I survived the Rwanda genocide against the Tutsi. And one day I met one of he was a child at that time, and he was studying with my little sister. So when I saw him, I asked, "So are you Cedric?" He said yes. So I thought he was finishing his universities. So I thought of my sister immediately. Mm-hmm. So I could not even, manage it. I feel like, I wanted to cry in front of that child. Okay, I called him child. And I said, it's okay, so you can give me your number and something. I just look for, something to say, and I went. So it was, everything reminds you on what happened. Mm-hmm. So
I would think. I
Yeah,
would think.
so not even me only, but
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people are like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
The holes. There's a hole left where those important people used to be.
Yes.
Yeah. And so some people are trying to work to help heal that. And we're working together on one of those projects as part of many. And so maybe we should talk a little bit about that. So you know, but maybe our viewers aren't so familiar with the project that we're doing together in Rwanda. It's funded by USAID, and it's a 2-year project in which we're trying to make a contribution to exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
For people that are living side by side, who have been through the worst together and yet still have to be neighbors, still see each other every day and still remind each other like Cedric did,
Yes.
reminded you.
Yeah, it's true. What motivates you to come in Rwanda? Because that's actually was my question. I'm wondering, you know, from here to Rwanda, from US, from Massachusetts to Rwanda, what's your motivation as Karuna?
Absolutely. Curious, because we're in Amherst. It's not a big international center here, and so you wouldn't imagine that. But the work of Karuna Center, we're based in Amherst, as I said, and most of what we do is international. We also convene dialogues here in the Pioneer Valley where we live. But in both cases, what we do is really bring people together who have been through very, very divisive things. So it could be the genocide like you're talking about in Rwanda. Here it could be communities that really see each other as dangerous and they're very afraid of each other and not willing to talk and not willing to live side by side. In other places, we sit with people who are rebuilding their societies. And so we act as a bridge, and we say that we bridge deep divides for sustainable peace. And so as you asked about Rwanda in particular, our founder, Paula Green, is a Leverett resident. Many people were living in refugee camps at that time. And there was a 200,000 person refugee camp in what's now Democratic Republic of Congo. And the Archbishop there invited our founder to come work with the refugees. And he was interested in her teaching them about nonviolence as they start to figure out what their lives will be like again. And so she held a number of workshops in the refugee camp for, in that case, it was Hutu. Because what we didn't talk about earlier is that Hutu were also sometimes targeted, right?
Yeah.
If they were friendly to the Tutsi, if they were helping take care of them.
Yeah, they were.
And so Paula worked with them in the refugee camp. And when she came back to visit a year later, they had set up 17 nonviolent centers in that camp that they were running for themselves. Wow. We've done different projects with women and with youth and with many people in Rwanda since then. And so now what it looks like is we are working in 16 communities, and we're trying to do 3 things that we think really support each other as a fabric for people to do the healing that you're talking about. So one of them is that in each of those communities there's a dialogue club, and local people are trained and now lead those clubs, and they come together every other week to talk about really important, sensitive issues. And then in the same community, there are people who learn about trauma and understand why it's difficult for them 23 years later. And that's also led by some local people that we've helped support learn how to do that. And then the youth have a number of pieces that they do. They do the community service that you mentioned. They help vulnerable families. They shoot video stories and audio stories that help people understand what happened and how people are moving on. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for asking.
Yes, I know. I was curious to know. That is very far, to move from here to there. But, it is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Wow, that's very important.
So I want to know the same thing about you.
That's personal motivation. I wanted to contribute to peace building. And I was wanting, it was my wish always to get opportunity to work in peace building and reconciliation. I was, for the Rwandan case, you know, I was, for the first time when I saw that the initiative done by the country after genocide, you know, it was not easy to judge all the people who were involved in genocide by normal courts, you know, the classic courts. So the Rwanda, you know, it had initiative, you know, to find a solution, a traditional solution to that issue. So in 12 years only, they judged 2 million of perpetrators. And some, of course, went back to the communities, and others were, you know, judged to be like the planners of genocide, where there were categories, of course. You know, it is very interesting to know about the Gacaca. It is, because it is not a normal court, like a classic court, but this is the community. They sit together because these are their issues, these are their problems. So they sit together, they elect themselves, the judges. This is a person with, you know, he's very, you know, strict, he's kind, he's someone who is, you know, who can have justice. So they were electing judges, and among the community, and they are sure that these people, whatever they will be saying, it is okay, it is done. They can do that. And during that time, you know, 12 years, it has been, you know, the people could sit together like twice a week and bring cases on the table. So this and this participated because this is where they are neighbors. They know each other. This is a difference, actually, I was talking about other genocide and the genocide that happened in Rwanda. So they were known each other. They know each other. So, and those judges could just, the local judges could just say, you know, this category will go to this, you know, will be given this, and this will be given this. As, you know, if there's a punishment or this, just, you know, you do community work for 1 month or 2 months or one year or something like that. Just find, you know, a solution, a local solution to that. It was estimated that if the Rwanda opted to use the classic courts, it would take 200 years to judge all these people.
So it was more effective and it was more personal.
Yeah. So you are asking what motivated me. And I started by Gacaca. So I said that, you know, if there are solutions can be found for a difficult, you know, case like genocide. So now the post-genocide consequences, you know, the life we are living in Rwanda, you know, needs people who can, you know, stand up and say, you know, this was not right. People can, you know, work for peace, who can find solutions together, of course, with other stakeholders, and who can find solutions together. So the Gacaca really inspired me. And other initiatives, I saw that I need to you know, to give my small contribution to peace building, because peace building is, you know, I wish everyone can be a peace builder, because this is, you know, if I may say, the foundation of every development. If people don't have peace, if people are living in conflict, they can never develop. You know, people live in fear, people, you know. So I want to have a personal motivation to contribute to reconciliation, the unit, and the peace building. Yeah.
And you're definitely doing that.
Thank you. I'm trying.
And in the small time we have left, I'm interested, that contribution that you're making, now you're out in communities and you're seeing the fruits of your work.
Yes.
Is there a story that comes to mind of some impacts that you've seen?
I've seen the impact. You know, we've been doing this work for 10 months, and I'm very impressed personally of the work we are doing, the Karuna is doing with partners in Rwanda. That in community you can see changes, you can see results, you know, in the very shortest time. You can see the results already. So if we thing, like what is coming in my mind is about some successful stories that we see on the ground, like in the communities we are working with. You see, recently we went somewhere in the community. We were not even aware. We were seated, and a survivor stood up and said that, you know, I want to forgive this person because we've never talked. And, you know, when he sees me, he ran away. And I know that he killed my father. But, you know, I forgive him from my heart because I was trained. I know that also he's feeling bad for what he did, even if he's not maybe able to express it to me. And, you know, but I can see that he doesn't have peace in his heart. So me, who was trained by this project in trauma healing, I took my time to see my case, to see what is going on me, and I took that decision. You know, this is a lady. She stood up and, you know, she hugged him, and we were really very impressed because the people around there were telling us that they never used to, you know, to greet each other, and they were not living. And even that person also, you can see that he was relieved. You know, he was there with the wife and said, you know, thank you so much. You know, you can understand. One thing that this project also helped the communities is to be aware of their, especially their issues, their trauma cases. Mm-hmm. Because they're going through a lot and they don't know about it. Yeah.
It's really bringing things up for people when they're ready to deal with them.
Yes.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about that in another segment. But I so appreciate your joining us.
Thank you so much.
And it's been really great to talk.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Karuna in the World.